Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Podcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever. But, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
And you normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Podcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Welcome back to another episode brought to you by sportshoes.com. As always, apologies for the slight delay, but we wanted to wait till after the action at the World Indoors in Nanjing had concluded, and some great races to chat about over the past few days. Seems a while ago that 3K was, mate, but obviously we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, just initially as well, those 2:15s today were very interesting. I mean, again, we got to start with Jacob. He obviously gets his double. He steps up, takes that silver. I mean, we said after Euros, Gourley looked like he could have definitely got a medal and actually challenged far more than he did at Euros. He got pushed around a bit in that final. He got a much better run today. But I just look at that men's 1500. I mean, indoors as well. By the way, Hauser really, really impressed me. His kick in the heats was flipping ridiculous. I think he ran 5 point for the last 200. Obviously, like Nate Green of Washington as well has been doing that in the NCAA. He's been doing a good job there. So, like, Hauser... What I was going to say basically was, I think if this is on an outdoor track, and some people might just think it's just absolute nonsense, but if it's an outdoor track, I think Jakob gets challenged so much more. It's so difficult. Basically, what happens, he finds himself at the front at the right time. And that's credit to Jakob, right? His positioning and everything he does to get at the front. But it's just chaos behind him. It always is. Like, I look at, Gourley did well to get second. He finally got on the inside, and he even mentioned after how he was kind of like, I'm just going to track Jakob. And that's what he did. But then you look at people like Hauser and Nadir again, and they're just fighting so much more for positions, and they're trying to constantly overtake each other and battle. It was the same in the 3000, I thought. There was a key point in that 3000 where all the guys further back, your Aragaris, your Maharis, your Ethiopians and stuff, and they're just battling all over the place. And Jakob's obviously at that moment in time, he's up at the front and he's avoiding all of this. And so it's credit to him, he gets up at the front, but he is vulnerable. He is very vulnerable. And I looked at that 1500 today and I said, okay, well, Gourley is a guy who is coming back to his very best, but I still don't think he's anywhere near his best. Jakob is the world record holder, but for me, he still looked vulnerable over 1500. And I look at like Hauser as well, and this is a good guy. I think he's going to have an epic summer, but, I think there's people, Kessler, Ocker, Nagus, like that, Kerr. There's a lot of people who I think would have done Jakob over in that 1500. That might be stupid of me to say. I think he did look vulnerable, and in the 3000 similar. He's kicking away from Aragawi. Aragawi's an amazing athlete, but he has not got the kick. And again, like, it's about winning the race and everything that goes before it as well, and that's why Jakob's just so good. So you got to give hats off to him. But indoors, it's definitely a lot easier to kind of get, once he's at the front, to stay there than it is outdoors. He's going to come under some serious challenges outdoors. So all I'm saying is I didn't see anything from this indoors, Jakob winning both the Europeans and the Worlds, that suggests that his kicks got better.
I think you're bang on, mate. I think that's absolutely fair to say. I think, look, like you say, hats off to him, mate. He's run brilliantly. He's done the job this indoor season, but yeah, I don't think we can read anything more than it was, and all those races were ones he really should be winning. Like, had we seen, like, Gourley's great, but had we seen Gourley beat him today, that'd have been a massive shock, massive upset. I was surprised to see how close he got, and I think fair play to Gourley, like you said, mate. His interview afterwards was great. How he kind of went through, I guess, deciding to race for silver, like post-Europeans. He was like, I'm going to race for, essentially admitted that he was going to race for silver. He was going to track Jakob. That meant he was never going to be able to get round Jakob, but it meant that he was always going to move away because Jakob's going to be at the front of that field. So he did a great job positioning himself today. So that silver medal for him was great. But yeah, you're right, mate. Aragawi made it a great race, that 3K. I think that was probably, for me, the race of the champs. But when you throw in a few more guys, and it's like, okay, so then in the 5K, you probably lose to Aragawi if you're Jakob that day. And yeah, that's concerning for him.
Yeah, I think so. And on the 1500, when you go back to his kick as well, Gourley had a faster last 200. I know, like, it just doesn't matter because Gourley didn't win. But, Jakob's running fast. He's running 13 mids, 13.4 and stuff, for his last couple hundreds in that race. What was fascinating, by the way, Jakob's first 100 meters, 17.3. It is funny watching him go off and just completely jog off the line and then get into the race. You think a lot of other people in that field were 15 point, 16 point through that first 100. But again, I just wanted to highlight that sort of to give a little bit of stats as well to sort of back up what we're talking about here. There were people in that race who, both Gourley and Hauser, I think their last 200 was ever so slightly quicker than Jakob's, but hey, he wins the race. So we don't want to talk about times, but yeah, I think in the 3000, I don't know why we should be loving Jakob anyway. I think for the sport, it is much better that someone like Jakob is winning these races because he is turning up. He's a super high profile figure. So it is amazing. But we always just love to see a battle and a bit more and an upset and stuff, I guess. But, he's the absolute don. He's dominant and I've got a lot of time for him. But I think people could beat him if they were smarter. And again, that 3000, why don't the Ethiopians just go right, all we got to do is just block him in, hold him off. When our guy was at the front, he was the only one there. But there was a key point in that 3000. I think it was 600s ago. Jakob was completely boxed on the inside. And, he had Ethiopians in front of him. And I'm just trying to think who else. I think even people like Koskrin were there. The Americans, it was... trying to remember who else is in that final. He was completely boxed. But the problem was everyone started to surge. Everyone wanted to go to the front. Everyone wanted to cover moves. And when everyone's fighting and surging for positions, the race then just opened up and Jakob goes, okay, right, now's my time. He picks his moments so well. He's so alert to when the race is breaking up. But had they have not fought for position 600 out, had they have gone, right, we're going to leave this till the last 200 and just wait, Jakob would have been stuffed because there would have been way too many bodies to get round.
Yeah.
But hey, he's attacking.
That's the difference between 5 guys teaming up against Jakob versus all trying to win the race themselves or medal themselves. And I think in athletics, you're never going to get that. That's never going to be the outcome. You're never going to have people putting team tactics against someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, how good is he? The fact that we're saying he could have lost that race if
5 guys tagged up against him.
If 5 guys decided they were going to beat him and they were all going to sacrifice themselves by one. That's how good he is. And the nice thing about the sport, I guess, is that doesn't happen. It's still every man for himself, no matter what country you're from. But yeah, it was people like, I guess, Kai Robinson, Sam Gilman, super running. Those of you who don't know Sam Gilman, he's done a lot of training with Grant Fisher as well. So clearly he's in incredible shape. And Dylan Jacobs, both of those running well, Kai Robinson. So yeah, OAC America having a good day with Robinson and Jacobs. But yeah, I mean, that is how good he is. The fact that it would take 4 or 5 guys to really kind of mess him about.
Yeah. It would. But then, like you mentioned, when it comes to outdoors, there is going to be 4 or 5 guys and maybe they were not working together, but they're all going to have their own game plans.
Yeah, but this is it. But I think this is where outdoors is a little bit easier. So you think when, Whiteman won in 22, won in 23, even kind of Hocker to some degree, although the Olympic final was a little different. Hocker was quite a bit further back, especially Whiteman and Kerr. They were on Jakob the whole way. They were uninterrupted. They were in second for the last sort of 600-700 meters of the race. And then they were able to kind of strike and make their move. Whereas it's when they're in second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, and they're all just fighting for that second spot is when they all they lose there and then because they're fighting.
We even saw it last year. If you
fighting to get on the shoulder.
About that Jakob v. Kerr, and that's how Hocker won.
Yeah. Yeah. These guys are fighting to get on Jakob's shoulder and they blow their own race because of it. Because it's just so deep. So it was terrific, mate. It was good racing, though, and it was fun to watch. But yeah, I think summary for me is nothing to suggest his kicks. He's amazing at winding it up, but I still can't see a 25 last 200 in this guy. Whereas you've seen that. Saw it in Hauser in the heat. I know it was a heat. It was a different race. And we've seen it with guys in the NCAA, like flipping Ethan Strand, Nate Green. I know they're not running anywhere near as fast as Jakob, so it's stupid to compare, but they can't do it. And, I'd love to know his 400.
What's interesting, though, is that we talk about the summer and how these guys are going to be challenging him. And don't get me wrong, I think they will. But have we seen them all in there today? Would they have really been challenging? That's the question I ask, because Jakob's not going to be
Okay, for me,
as fit as he's going to be in the summer, like it's March, and that's why they're choosing not to be there. Because if they could have gone there and won today, then I think they would. But they're thinking, oh, the summer's more important, and they're changing their training for that. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
for me, I think from what I've seen from Grant Fisher, I think he would give Jakob a very, very good run for his money in that 3,000. I think he would. Same with Cole Hocker. Cole Hocker in the 1,500 today. I think he could have beaten Jakob. But, it is a shame. And Jakob's standing there and he's saying, hey, look, why don't these guys come and race me? Like, it is a shame. It's a shame that, a world title doesn't appeal to most. We know why. Obviously, a lot of these guys have Grand Slam to worry about, and that's over in the States. And I just think you're always going to get that kind of divide, aren't you, with Americans, because the travel commitment is just so. I mean, hey, look at Gourley, right? He's going to have to go to Grand Slam. Well, he's off. He's got to go fly to Jamaica now, I think. He's got 2 weeks? So he's got to just keep the ball rolling, which is going to be difficult. But he does look like he's in a place where, he wants to snowball and kind of keep racing. He obviously missed quite a large part of last year. And hey, look, Britain's first medal in that event in 32 years, apparently. David Strange, silver medal in 1993 against Marcus of Sutherland Islands. So, which is quite staggering when you think we haven't had a medal in that event in 32 years. So yeah, well done to Gourley. Mate, let's move on to the women's 3,000. Because
where do we start with that one, mate? So we start with Shelby. I've not seen too much come out about that.
Jesus. No, I mean, everyone seems to be, people obviously acknowledging that she got banned, but yeah, everyone seems to be okay with her competing. I guess they have no choice. No one's speaking out. And this is where, like, me and you always have that debate. If this was a Kenyan or an Ethiopian and they just got silver in a world title, come back from a 4-year ban, I definitely think people would be speaking out. Obviously, it's Shelby Houlihan. Everyone seems to be her friend. Everyone seems to think, oh, how unlucky are you? But, no one else has ever had that problem before. So, yeah.
Like, I think we said, if that's Katir in a few years' time.
Right, this is what I mean. Yeah, Katir in a few years' time.
There's just no way. There's no
way. When Gatlin came back, I feel like Gatlin's a bit more respected now. I mentioned the other day, he's got good podcasts and generally.
Years though. That was years of him being back on the circuit. He was getting booed.
Dude, when him and Bolt faced off, he was a massive villain. Yeah, I mean, Houlihan's just slotted straight back in the sport. Seems like people are loving her and congratulating her, so there you go. But yeah, gets second, beats Jess Hull, beats Winnie Morgan, Sarah Healy, all these girls. And what's frightening is Houlihan's only going to get better.
Well, I'm just like, how can you produce that performance after 4 years off? Obviously, you're allowed to train, but 4 years of no racing. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know this question. I would love to ask someone who does. Don't know the answer, but how strict is the testing when you're serving a ban? Like, do you get tested every?
Yeah. You're not going to be an elite athlete, right? So you wouldn't be on the whereabouts testing, you'd imagine, or are you?
Yeah,
you've not been an elite athlete for 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how often are you getting tested and stuff? Yeah.
Crazy.
Weird. But you're right. I look at it after 4 years, and that was a pretty strong field in the women's 3,000. And I think she's only going to get better, man. She is a racer at heart as well. The more she races, the better and better she's going to get. You look at it, she's probably going to be at the World Champs in Tokyo. Even as strong as America are, I think a lot of Americans coming off that high of the Olympics last year and stuff. And I just think, yeah, we can expect Houlihan to. It's September. It's still a long, long time away.
Yeah, she's got a range, whether it be the 15, whether it be the 5, whether it be both.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
she'll find a way into one of those teams.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, but hey, Halo won. Good race from her. And yeah, Sarah Healy, very, very strong as well. Sixth for Ireland. So kind of backing up and Jess Hull as well. So, was a good race. And again, slow wind up that we saw go down, and it was fun to see lots of positional changes, everything like that. But where Hailey was super impressive was dropping a 13.8 for her penultimate 100 split. I just thought flipping hell to have that sort of wheels to be able to go, 13 point in your final 200 was, very, very impressive.
I think both the 3Ks for me, and maybe, I think it's just always the case. Like the race a bit longer, you throw a few more names in there. Like we've
indoors, it's perfect.
The melting pot, isn't it? But yeah, I think both the 3Ks for me were just phenomenal in terms of racing. So yeah,
women's 1500. I mean, Segai is just talk about what Segai did was impressive. And you see Daguma in the 8 just absolutely popping, but like that. But yeah, she just
That was
goes
like a
off.
high school 800 meters.
It
that
literally was,
women's
wasn't it?
800.
But Segai does hold it together. She has this horrible period in the middle, but she does lift it. She really does. She was back down on 15 point for the last 100. Like, she does lift it back up 30 point for the last lap. But 3:54 championship record, mightily impressive. Walter as well. And look, Georgia Hunter-Bell did great. There was a large part of that race where she had to kind of really dial in and focus because she was leading that chase group. And I think, this is where it just comes with experience. Like, she just knew her pace and her rhythm. And, Georgia Griffith of Australia, I think, will low-key be kicking herself. She got after it. But had she sat back with Georgia Hunter-Bell, could she have maybe challenged for that bronze? I mean, as it was,
Tough to say, 'cause she still
you know.
still ran that Australian record, didn't she?
She did, yeah. She'll probably have no regrets.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes you just got to put yourself out there, because there were so many ladies in that race that did sit back and then obviously never got on it. I thought, yeah, Georgia Bell was super impressive the way she ran that, like really mature, the way she kind of made the decision to lead it, but like not go too crazy. She didn't panic to get back on the next group. When she did get on the next group, she sat there for a bit and then was like, okay, I'm gonna move past Griffith, like you said, and really kind of push it on. Yeah, I thought particularly after a couple of weeks ago. Phenomenal run from her. And she obviously mentioned, like you said, around the pacing from training and stuff, that she really like just keys into what 4-minute pace feels like and understands how to run at that. And she also made the comment as well about how much she improved last year from indoor to outdoor. And she's run 4 seconds quicker this indoor season than she did last year as well. So she can go again. I'm sure that training is nicely lined up for her, obviously in that group. And she'll be ready to go come the summer.
Yeah, I think what's great for her is she's just got the blueprint, hasn't she? Like, she's done pretty much all very similar races to what she did last year. Look, Olympics was a bit earlier, but if she can just kind of, copy that, it's going to be fit. What is worth highlighting, though, the golfing class. I mean, Segai wins in 3:54. I mean, Susan Ajor and Sinclair Johnson, 5th and 6th, 4:03 and 4:04. 10 seconds between 1st and 6th. Like, and Segai is a freak. But like, she's no more of a sort of freak than Jakob, like class wise.
Yeah.
And like, there's no way he's putting 10 seconds or 5th or 6th in a 1500 final. And there's no way, but Jesus, yeah, the golfing class was.
It's the way she ran it though, obviously is very different, because that's like Jakob going off a world record pace, because that's what she did. She went off.
She blows the whole field when she goes off that quick.
Like right at the start. She went off a 3:45 pace.
Yeah, but they didn't go with her, mate. Like,
No, I know, but you see what I'm saying? So then the race is completely different. And like you said, we'll compare that to Jakob's 17-second first 100, and then you're never going to have that difference. I think both fields, though, if you look at it, like realistically, who in those fields, bar the top athletes or the athletes from like nations who don't have as much depth, who's actually making the world champs in Tokyo? They talk about those American ladies in there. They're not making the world champs over 1,500 meters come Tokyo.
Well, to be fair though, like Alfonso and stuff, like she was class at the Euros. Medalists, like they are. McLean,
the Euros again though.
World Cup for Sinclair Johnson as well. So like they are. They probably are making the world final. But it's just that is just the game at the moment. I think the difference in class, but I think there was a lot of depth there in the a lot of depth not there in a women's 1500.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Or they're doing the 3K.
Yeah, but like those Americans, they are 3:56 runners, but yeah, I think it was fair to say they didn't turn up. So actually, they couldn't have been anywhere near their best, because like it was a time. If you were behind Georgia Hunter-Bell in that race, it was a time trial and it was perfect for you to run fast. So hey, look. Anyway, women's, Bell does great, snatches the bronze, and then it's moved to those 800s. I mean, Josh Hui, he's the real deal. Great racer. I think we all saw that one coming. It was very much part of form, but Crestan almost pips him. But, I think Hui won that more dominantly than the results suggest as well, because the kind of battle he had to have with Brandon Miller, whereas you kind of look at the way Crestan executed that race, it was kind of near perfect, didn't get involved in didn't really put a foot wrong, to be honest, and it almost paid off. Hui just still has more there. So, I mean, to go 24 point in the first lap of an 800 indoors, it's
yeah, particularly when you're fighting someone, not like on a clear run over.
Yeah. And then the women's race was just even more
crazy. It was an absolute massacre, that women's race. It was I thought they would die more. Like I thought more of them would be like Daguma was. I was surprised. I thought the one person who might be able to hold it together was Daguma, but I was surprised how many of them held it together like they did. As much as they slowed, like Daguma was fully gone, full of lactic, and I thought that the whole field would be like that. Apart from the 3 Europeans that we saw over in the European Champs a couple of weeks ago. They're the only the three that kind of stayed off the back.
Well, yeah. Sekadizo she is going to be a force to be reckoned with this season, because to run 13.1 for your first 100 and not completely implode and kind of fall apart, I just thought, flipping hell, 27-0 at 200. And like, that is, I guess, like, I don't know if she's ever done that before, but they'll probably do something similar outdoors, right? Like to go through 400 in 56 is, I mean, wasn't it this last year? Like Jenny and Trevor were saying, like Keely's never gone through in quicker than 57 before or something like that, 400. So it kind of shows you, like, and Sekadizo's gone 56. I mean, Kachu's gone 55.88 at 400. I mean, what? And Sekadizo's gone 56 indoors and actually, held it together. She didn't completely implode. Which I think is very impressive. She paces that much better, and she's running easily 157 odd, 157 low. But Daguma, you want to know her last 100, mate?
I don't know. It looked like one of my races, to be honest. I did feel for her. I was like, whoa, we've all been there.
20 seconds for a last 100. Yeah, 37 point last 200. So yeah, I mean, she's switched off once the field's gone by, hasn't she? That's rough. So bless her. We've all been there. I think, like you say, you can relate. I think many listening can probably relate to that one. But yeah, it was a good massacre. It was a good race. Yeah, and I think Orje Vera as well is European, Swedish, Swiss girl, someone to sort of keep an eye on, because it's still just 21 years of age. And looking like the national record 159 indoors, she ran 158 outdoors. Like, it's looking like she's going to have another kind of big leap forward this summer.
Yeah, and mate, what I just liked, I think, particularly compared to the Europeans, all 6 of those finals, those distance finals at the Worlds, we had no processions.
Yeah.
Even the women's 1500 wasn't a procession, because there was stuff going on behind as well. There was still moves being made. It wasn't just the whole field strung out and everyone. There was a race to watch, and we had a race to watch across 6 finals, and that's what we want to see. Like, I don't have a problem with people running quick times or people front running, but it's when no one tries to make any moves in and around it, and we got those moves. So many moves were made, and so it made it such an exciting set of finals to watch.
I think you summarised that really well. Completely agree. It was good, despite, I guess, World Indoors, being that different time zone, being at, I guess, awkward times to watch, and just coming a little bit under the radar. The races were fantastic. I think Brits performed. Mate, I guess we haven't touched on, obviously Reve getting knocked out in the heats. We touch on that, and Adam Fogg as well.
Adam Fogg as well, yeah.
So those two kind of having a disappointed champs. I mean, just on Fogg though, I just look, I don't know how, I'm only going off kind of what I see and stuff, how he trains, but clearly there's quite a lot of double threshold. Clearly has some insane times in him, and Koskeren, for me, I think kind of seconds this, like how fast he was running indoors, 730 over 3,000. But there's just levels to this game, and you've got to be able to race, and I think you can run all the good times in the world. You can be a sub 350 miler, but if you can't close, if you can't compete, if you can't make moves in a race, if you can't, have those, the odd 200 go fast just to kind of get yourself in a good position and respond and react, you're going to get spat out the back door. And that's what happened to Fogg. And you're looking at it and you're like, I think something needs to change for that guy. I think he really needs to prioritize racing.
He's really so tough as well, because I also think
British indoors he hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't delivered at British indoors.
Yeah, and that's where it's just like,
and that's a race of his level.
Yeah, and almost like was selection for the World Indoors the worst thing for him? Like, actually maybe like getting a bit of a kickback and being like, no, you're not going, might have been. Whereas now it's even worse. It's like, I've gone again and not performed.
I think for his career, I actually think that the way it panned out at World Indoors is a good thing. I think surely he's looking at that going, hey, look, I can be as fit as I want, but I got to be able to race. I got to be able I got to be able to race a 1500, and there's more to it than just being fit. There's more to it than being a low 330 guy.
Tough thing for these guys as well. Like you mentioned Cosgren as well. They'd have been in better shape when they opened up their seasons. And you see it time and time again.
Yeah,
and
that's what I mean.
The point I'm making around like people like Fisher and stuff like that. He's prioritized a 3-week period where he's like, I'm going to be absolutely on it then. And he's done 3 high caliber races, 3 weeks on the bounce. If he then tried to hold it till today or a couple of days ago, obviously you plan it slightly differently, but it wouldn't be exactly the same, right? He wouldn't have been able to run those times. He wouldn't have that confidence. He'd had to save that period for now. And then you have a completely different race. And that's where, like you mentioned, Jakob, his ability to, people talk about his training, the way he's like super fit all year round. And they talk about the threshold work he does and the strength he has. But the way he prepares and gets himself ready for a championship is so undervalued. Like that period he has going into those is so like overlooked, because everyone else is like, oh yeah, we'll just do this threshold work the same as him, because they can crank it out all year round. Absolutely fine. But he's always there or thereabouts when it comes to it. But he's supreme at getting himself ready for those races. And I think that's it as well. It's not just like learning to race, but they're not even trying to race because they're so busy worrying about running a quick time a month ago or 6 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I agree. They're probably not nailing the build up. They're not looking for those. And the hard thing is as well is where do you learn how to race now? Like doesn't exist. Like you can't go into, and this is why, when we speak to Carl Merber, this is why I think Grand Slam is actually going to be very, very useful for a lot of athletes, because actually those doing it are learning to race. Because if you look at the circuit now, if you're an elite athlete trying to qualify for the world champs, I don't know where you learn to race. If you haven't honed your craft, you're someone like Gourley, spent a lot of time in the NCAA before it got, stupid. And, he's someone who's always been naturally gifted when it comes to the racecraft. But yeah, I do look at someone like Adam Fogg. I'm like, where can he learn to race? Because every race he's going to go into, it's going to be a time trial. You look at the European circuit, the world tours, their time trials, they're all set up, they're paced. Virtually every single one has got wave lights now. BMCs are all wave lights. You can't learn to race at a BMC. Even, Fogg is way above that level anyway now. But, the only chance you have to learn is at these championships and at the British Championship. So I think it is a good thing that he went and that happened. But it is difficult for athletes now because, some people just have it and some don't. But you can't really develop it these days.
Yeah, I just don't. It can't be an excuse, can it? It can't be like, well, I just don't have it. I'm not a racer. I don't have it.
No, you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure it out. Yeah, defo.
So I think if you asked Gourley, I don't think Gourley would be like, oh, I just have always had it. Like he'd probably cite a lot of the race he had growing up, like you said, the NCAAs, things like that. Yeah, there's always things you can do though, isn't there? Because you can go get yourself in races and run it in a certain way. You don't have to just do what everyone else is doing. If you really value your career and you really want to win medals, then just because there's a really just because there's a really good opportunity for you to go and run quick doesn't mean you have to go there and run quick. You put yourself in the B race at Boston, right? And you could make a move halfway and try and go 2K on your own in a 5K, for example. Like you can do that. Like these athletes, they have the agency to do that. They're like the wave lights are there. They're not fucking tied to the wave lights. So there are things they can do, and I think it's just it's excuses on their part if that's what they would say.
I agree, but the problem is the standards are just getting so aggressive.
Yeah, and I do think that's the problem.
It takes to go run these standards, you need 3 or 4 races to get
and ranking points as well. Again,
and obviously
value times and Grand Slam, couple weeks.
I just think how much the rankings even mean. You look at the world indoors. I mean, Jesus, that women's 400 was embarrassing. 12. Obviously, Anne Browning wins it. It's a fair play. But, I mean, have 3 people in the heat. I was like, what are we watching? World indoors. Like, is this a Southern Athletics League or?
Hey, the Southerns are normally full. It's like a YDF.
So, it's a hot contest at 400. All those 8 runners doubling back. But, yeah. And so you just look at the rankings, you're like, and anyway, British athletics don't take the rankings that seriously. They're still very much on the fence where they want to commit to going off it. Because at the end of the day, I think, British athletics will just take the fastest person no matter where your ranking is. Yeah. Anyway. That was World Indoors. Good meet. And I mean, that indoors finishes and hey, look, Grand Slam, 2 weeks time. And then that's it. Outdoors, we've got Diamond League, as well, which starts in a week or 2. I think it might be the same weekend at Grand Slam. In my dates, right? So that's it now. It's outdoors. It's crazy. But I suspect a few of these Ethiopians that we seen will stay out there and run the Diamond Leagues as well. But mate, there was a Road 10K today. Obviously British trial for the European Road Runner Champs, which is 12th and 13th of April.
Yeah, it was. And speaking of people, I guess, neglecting a race, a few athletes just not really deciding to compete, I think, despite it being a trial. There's six spots on the line, 4 automatic spots, 2 discretionary spots. On the men's side anyway, the guys we saw competing outside those standards, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. It is. I don't know when it didn't get announced that early anyway. Like this was definitely not something which is. I think did it get announced? Pretty sure as soon as Trafford got cancelled, Wolford stepped in, and then that's when they said, "Oh, we're going to hold the British Road Running Champs, the British Road Runner Trial at it." So I don't think. I mean, yeah, you're alluding to the likes of Rory Leonard, being away up at altitude. I've heard that, he's interested in running the European Road Running Champs. He's obviously doing Sound 10 and to do that as well. And then you're looking at trying to go race, the 10,000, the British 10,000 at Birmingham on the track. There's going to be a lot of 10s, that could be a bit risky. So whether he does the European Road Running Champs, we'll see. But again, he might look at it as a good opportunity for him to try and, I mean, depending on who does it, he might be able to try and medal.
Yeah. No, it's for me. I'm not it's not really against the athletes. I just think, what's the point in putting on a trial if then athletes don't need to go? I just don't have it as a trial race. It seems a bit. We'll just say, are we going to pick a team based off current form?
I mean, it is funny. Let's give a bit of context. So the standard was what, 28:20, and we've got 9 guys who have run 28:20 or quicker. Ellis Cross is one. Ran it in Valencia. Obviously, Johnny Mellor didn't run it in Valencia. Ran it in the Netherlands in early Feb. But then Mark Scott, 28:12, Valencia, he won't go to this Road Running Champs. Alfie Manthorpe, 28:12, he obviously raced, where did he come today? 3rd. So he'll probably go. Zach Mohammed, 2011, will he go? I mean, he's got Phil Sesman and Alex Yee, they're probably not going to go or not going to want to do it. And you got obviously Charlie Wheeler and Rory Leonard, who you think are going to be top picks. So I think British Athletics will just go down the list because unfortunately Logan Reese, who won today, he only ran 28:30 at Valencia, but me and you were just discussing, off air, 28:38, Framp ran the whole thing today. That's worth way more than a 28:30 in Valencia. So he's unlucky. He's unlucky not to go, but yeah, they do say they want to take 6, but yeah, he won't go.
Yeah. That's it, and if you throw a few more of those guys in, maybe he runs the time today. I know it's not their job to help him out, but it'd have been.
It would have dragged things along. Like I think he would have. Like he did a very, very good job pulling that along. Scott Sterling as well, by the way, 28:44. Both of those kind of really ran away with it, and straight from the gun, they were just off and had to kind of just push it. So yeah, they were unfortunate. But yeah, Manthorpe 3rd, Andy Hayes 4th. Andy Fife was a bit further down, Callum Johnson. But I think on the men's side, the depth wasn't there for it to be a fast day. But you compare it to like Podium, how many of the guys ran fast at Podium, last week? The depth just wasn't there for us to have loads of guys crashing and breaking sub 30. But on the women's, on the other hand, so by the way, that team gets announced this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully they do try and fill it, but yeah, I don't think they can on that men's side anyway, just in terms of the standards and things. And people obviously prepping for London. Yeah, we expect to see 4 or 5 maybe selected for that.
Yeah, agreed. But on the women's, we had 4 go quicker than the standard on the race today. The standard was 32:20. Nesbitt, Anderson, Ockenden, and Potter all go under 32:20. And so you're just like, well, there's your 4 straight away. It's very impressive. But I mean, Beth Potter, 31:18. Absolutely cooking. Very, very impressive.
Yes, but again, is she going to want to go? I mean, presumably you'd only do this if you want to go, but then I'm sure she's got triathlon meets coming up, and so
well, this is it. I don't know her schedule, to be honest, but it is tricky because you've got and then on the sidelines, the discretionary spots, you've got Judd, McColgan, and Amy Eloise Neal, who Judd and Neal ran in Valencia, and McColgan was in Dubai. So you've got those 3. Will they want to go? I mean, I can't imagine McColgan's going with London on the horizon.
Only 2 of them are discretionary, right?
Yeah, so like, who would they choose out of those 2? I think it'd be easy. McColgan just probably wouldn't go. I mean, it's 2 weeks before London, isn't it? So
yeah.
nil. So yeah, women's team is very, very strong. And just at the rate, like I say, 4 inside that time. Amelia Quirk was 32.28 just outside. Hannah Rowan 32.30. Alex Bell 32.48. So her kind of road campaigns really starting to get moving. Haggett Kearney was 32.52. Meg Gatsby, so 32.26. Yeah, top sort of 5 and 6 in the women's race, very, very strong.
Yeah, for sure, and obviously a strong team to send to the Europeans, however many they send, and I think just backing up their policy really, or we're expecting them to back up the policy of taking as many athletes as possible and giving people opportunities.
It's going to be self-funded, right? So, I'm intrigued to see how much it is as well, because it said it'd be no more than £1,100. I'm intrigued to see where it comes in at. We'll have to try and find out from someone who gets selected, because I think they'll only tell you once you've been selected, apparently. But yeah, so the first self-funded trip. So you think it's good that they are being generous with who, they want to take full teams as well, which is good.
Well, there's no reason. There's no.
Well, that's what I mean. There's no reason. There's no reason not to. Yeah. Exactly. So mate, that was they're the two big ones, really. Obviously, lots of half marathons and stuff went up and down a country. But yeah, we're looking forward to. We caught up with Carl Mober, so that will come out next week. And we're looking forward to Grand Slam and seeing how it all pans out. So stay tuned and get ready for a big summer on the track.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you very, very soon.